Amy from Amy Latta Creations, and I am so excited to be here partnering with Missouri Star Quilt Company to bring you something really special. I love all kinds of DIY projects, crafting, sewing, just like many of you, but my main passion is hand lettering. Hand lettering is basically taking your written words and turning them into art with a combination of fonts, doodles, embellishments, and we're going to be looking at how you can use fabric markers to take these skills onto your quilted masterpieces. We're going to take a look at things like faux calligraphy, a whimsical print, some doodles and embellishments, as well as some that are specifically for sewing and quilting, and then we're going to put them all together to create some really special and personal quilt labels. The first thing that we need to talk about is the most popular hand lettering font. It's called brush script, and basically what sets it apart is that within every letter there's a combination of thicker lines and thinner lines. If you look at the handout that you can click in the link below the video, you'll see I've written the word joy in this style, and you'll notice that in the J, the O, and the Y, each letter has thicker parts and thinner parts. That's what sets this font aside and what everyone loves so much about it. It's so aesthetically pleasing, and we're going to learn how to do it today with any type of pen, pencil, or marker that you have, including fabric markers. Let's start out with this handout and the word joy. We're going to write the word joy in your regular script handwriting, and then we're going to go back in and we're going to make some of the parts of it thicker. But the question is, where does that happen? So let's back up a minute and think about the way that our pen moves when we write on paper. Every time that we write or draw, our pen is moving in basically one of three different directions. It could be moving down on the paper toward ourselves, which is called a downstroke. It could be moving up away from us on the paper, which is called an upstroke. And sometimes, if we're crossing a T or an H or something like that, we have a horizontal stroke. There's basically one rule to remember when it comes to this style of writing, and that is that downstrokes are thick. Everything else remains thin. If you keep this rule in mind, your writing is going to look amazing in no time. So let's take a look at how that applies to our word joy. If we come back up here and think about how we wrote that J, when we started, we made an upstroke. Remember, upstrokes are thin, so we're going to leave that line just as it is. But all of a sudden, when we get to the stem of the J, now we have a downstroke. So what we're going to do to make this thick is draw a second line next to our first one with a little bit of space left in between. When we switch directions with our pen, we're going to leave that line in place. Then for the O, we're going to do a downstroke there on the left side. If you wrote your O with a loop like I did, you have another one in the loop. If your O looks more like this, you only have a downstroke on the left side. Then we'll come over to our Y. We have a downstroke on the left side and also the stem on the right. So now our word joy is in step 2. We've identified the downstrokes and we've drawn a second line. Now we're going to make those areas look thicker by using our marker to color in the space between our double lines. So all we're going to do is fill in that area, and now we have the illusion that parts of our letters are thicker than other parts. This method is called faux calligraphy. The faux part is not because it's not a real way to write, of course, but because the actual technique for brush script is using a brush pen or a brush marker. It's a really special artistic skill that hopefully one day you and I can learn together. But in the meantime, this is very simple and can be done with our fabric markers as well as any type of bullet tip writing instrument. So now we have our word joy written in faux calligraphy. I'm going to encourage you to write it again. That's right, we're going to repeat the same thing, writing the word joy, because my motto is practice makes progress. The more that you do something and repeat it, the better you're going to be. So we're going to take what we just learned and we're going to do it again now that we have an idea of what's happening. We're going to go back in, find those downstrokes, give them a second line, and then color in between. And as you start to get the hang of this, now it's time to play around a little bit and have some fun. So for example, you could write your letters much larger on the paper and see what kind of effect that gives you. You could also write your word much smaller and see the difference there. And you can add extra space in between your letters or put your letters closer together. The different ways that you write this, we're going to use the same technique. You're still going to get those thick and thin lines, but you're going to get something that looks just a little bit different. So the next challenge, once you've written the word joy a few times, is that we're going to try some new words. I'm going to ask you to write your name using faux calligraphy. I'm going to do my first name, Amy, as the example. I love having a short name sometimes. But you can also write any other names that you like, your kids, your dogs, your neighbors, or you could write words like love or quilted by, to, from, because these are all things that you're going to want to use on your labels. So what we're going to do is write our word, and now we have to find those downstrokes again. I've included on your handout a reference guide of the entire alphabet in lowercase, capital, as well as capital print, because you can also do this style with print as well as script. This doesn't mean that you have to form your letters exactly the way that I do. If your S looks more like the traditional cursive S, whereas mine looks like the print, no worries, do your style. The people who are receiving your quilts want your handwriting, not mine. So write your letters whatever way you like to write them, and then go back in and ask yourself, where was my pen moving down? Find the downstroke, and that's all there is to it. But I've given you this reference alphabet as a guide because when you're first starting out, one of the hardest parts is figuring out where do the thick parts go. We always second guess and question ourselves. But this reference alphabet is meant to help you as a visual guide for where those thicker parts should be. So as you're writing your own name or whatever word you've chosen, you're just going to take a look at where those thick parts, the downstrokes, are. You're going to draw a second line and color it in. It's totally up to you how thick you want to make those downstrokes. No matter how you do it, it's still going to be that brush script look that we really want. So now you can see my name written in brush script, and I hope you love the way that yours turned out as well. Remember, practice makes progress, not perfect. None of us, not even me, and I'm the professional, ever reach perfection. But the more you do this, it really will get into your muscle memory. Think about driving a car, riding a bike, swimming, all those things your muscles know how to do. Believe it or not, the muscles in your hand will learn exactly what to do here as well, and you won't have to think so hard next time. So I would encourage you to practice this and really get a feel for where those downstrokes are and how this technique works. Then in the next video, we're going to look at a print font that we can pair with our script font to make some really special and beautiful labels for your quilts. I hope you enjoyed this little dive into the world of faux calligraphy, and I can't wait to continue with you and look at print in the next video.